Hi there, this is Lorena, the Art Smart Lady, and I am so glad you're here to check out oil pastels. If you ever had questions about what are oil pastels anyway, you should get a pretty good idea of it by the end of this video. This is an introduction to oil pastels, so there's many other techniques that you're not going to get on here, but for basics, you will see them all. You'll see most of the basics, I would say. Right now, oh yeah, this is a demo that's coming at the end. It's a hyper-lapse demo of this drawing, so you can stick around to the end and take a look at that. If you want to find me other than here, check me out on Instagram. I would love for follow, and that would be great. Now, after this video is out, you're going to see a 5-part demo on all of these things. So a self-portrait, an abstract, painting, a blue jay, a pink rose, and a Dutch landscape. So all those things are going to be coming out on a daily basis. So you'll get to see those as well. And they're also hyper-lapse. So this is the introduction. The most important thing is to know that there are different types of oil pastels. Oil pastels are, in so many words, they are a drawing and painting medium with oil and wax binder. That's what keeps them together, and they're usually formed in a round stick, as you can tell. They can be purchased in a variety of colors. 12, 24, 36, 48 numbers most often. And you can also buy them singly. Some of them are rather expensive, so you'll want to buy them singly if you get the really expensive kind. I'm not using the most expensive ones here, so you don't have to worry about that. They are a wonderful blending material. It's almost like using oil paint, but you're not really using oil paint. So this is showing the mixing of oil pastels. I'm using the top one here is more waxy, and because it's more waxy, almost like regular crayons, it does rub a bit, but very little. I had more success with the waxy ones when I used like a paper towel and rubbed it in. That seemed to work a little bit better, but it's still very hard. It's different than the other ones, and not my favorite. So in some of the hyperlapses, you'll see that I pick one up and I end up putting it back down because I realized it was one of the waxy ones. And when you use oil pastel, the whole point is that they blend so nicely. Like this next one is nice and smooth. This is a Pentel brand oil pastel, and it's very smooth and easy to blend, and so it doesn't cause you any grief at all. Like the other one, I was just rubbing it and you just see the bottom of the paper again, which is not the idea. Let's see, what else do I want to tell you? Yeah, no, that's it right now. So in order to blend them together, you just put them next to each other or on top slightly if you want, depending on what you're trying to do. I use lots of different things, but my fingers are my favorite tool, and you'll notice here that I'm wiping away because my finger was dirty from another color that I hadn't wiped it off. You really want to have like either a tissue or paper towel nearby so you can wipe off both your I suggest a paper towel. It looks like this one's having a hard time, but temperature matters as well, because if it was a little bit cool in the room I was in, and so sometimes you'll find that it's not as smooth as it could be. But if you have nice warm fingers, you probably have no problem smoothing either the Van Gogh or the Pastels. And when you use pastels, oil pastels, most of the time you're applying them on top of each other, either in a mixing or just covering up another color. And so that's kind of an important aspect. And you'll notice all the crumbs. It gets pretty messy, so you want to make sure that you have a space around you that you can kind of sweep the stuff off onto, so that later on you can just either dump them, or what I like to do, sometimes I actually reuse some of the crumbs, but I'll tell you about that later when we talk about making points. And with the you have, if you don't keep it clean, you'll have what I have there, those stripes there that I wasn't trying to do on purpose. So now I'm just going straight over the top of the colors so you can see what it's like if you just go right on top of the colors. Sometimes you'll make another color, or sometimes it'll just like take over. It depends on how strong that color is. That red, for instance, was quite strong when it went over the blue, or the mixed color of the blue on top. So that's kind of cool. And it's pretty smooth. It's quite smooth, actually. And this is the Van Gogh brand oil pastel, and it's a kind of a tried and true oil pastel that I've been using for years. I think I bought them when I was in Holland. There's other kinds of, actually this could be actually Rembrandt. I don't even remember. Because it's been so long, but I'm pretty sure this one is a Van Gogh one, but I'm not 100%. I can, if it's not, then I can always go back and let you know. But either way, it's one of those brands, and they're very similar, so it's not like a big deal. But they are oily, and they blend nicely. They're not, I think, as smooth as the Pastels. And it could be because they're thicker, and so possibly they were cooler, and because they're cooler, it's more effort. So I don't know if that's the difference or not, because in other times when it's warm outside, I've had these be very smooth. So again, temperature does matter, and possibly also for the waxy ones, but they're not my favorite. I'd rather use a good crayon. There's these crayons called Wasco's. I think I use them in Holland. Fantastic crayons. They cover really well, and they're almost like oil pastels, but way better than this generic brand right here. We're doing a little scraping in there. That's another way for you to get some texture, or take some color away if you need to. And depending on which color's on top, that can work very nicely. And you'll see in some of the demos, the one at the end here, and also coming up when I drip out those the other hyperlapses I talked about earlier. So I'm just writing waxy, oily, no oily, so you can see the difference. And there's the Van Gogh one. Yeah. And I'm doing this type of tutorial for like 22 different material. So I would love for you to stick around, and if you join my Instagram, you will see when I've put out some more of these tutorials. And when I say tutorials, it's really an introduction to a material, and sometimes it's kind of nice to just have a library of, oh, so that's how you use that. Oh, I've never seen that done before. Oh, and I'm just giving the basics. So that's why it says introduction, because there's a lot of things you can do with oil pastels that I'm not showing on these particular videos. That's another series that I'm working on, where I take one material and I show you like 5 different techniques to use it with, which is kind of cool. And here this is another reason why you want to keep your oil pastels clean, because you'll have a crumb from another color, and then if you just wanted red, then you're going to end up with something else if you didn't clean it up. So, and here you'll see that I gave a little space between the the 2 colors so that they didn't blend, because I wanted to blend this different. This is going to be blending with my finger or with a paper towel, and so you can see how that goes. Nice and smooth, really nice, vibrant colors. And I'm cleaning off my finger as much as possible in between, because when you don't, well, it gets to be really messy. So that's why I noticed that. And here's with the paper towel. When you wipe it off or rub it in or smudge it with the paper towel, you get a different effect as well, which is kind of nice. So when you add the layering, the scraping, and the smudging and the wiping, you can get some really cool effects all together. And here's the Van Gogh one. And then I ended up in making this one a little bit longer because I just had more space. I think that was the reason. But this is also really nice and smooth. I didn't have any issues this time. Probably maybe they were getting warmer because I had them in my hands so often. So yeah, there's absolutely no weird stuff here. I'm actually getting a nice smooth mixing of and blending of the colors. And yeah, I didn't have any issues at all with that, as with the first time that I showed some blending. And then with the paper towel, you see that it comes off. It's gotta mix it a nice thin layer, and it's actually quite nice. It's pretty. And somehow these became hearts. I think February is coming up close, so that is probably where that came from. Slightly redundant, but yes, oily oil pastel as opposed to waxy oil pastel. And here I'm using a brush, just an ordinary brush, to brush away the excess crumbs. Sometimes you could just bang your paper down onto something to get rid of it. Here we're creating a point onto our pastels. Now there's lots of ways to do this. What I don't like is the waste. So it's nice if you can do it with something nice and sharp. This was a half of a scissors that had broken. That worked really well for the waxy one. That took no time. I had very little effort whatsoever to get myself a point. And so that was awesome. And yes, I just called it pointy. The next one, you're going to see me struggle a little bit here. I pretty much just flipped off all of the by chunks of my color, and so I had to slow down and go very slowly. And well, obviously, and just go carefully and gently along the sides and just turning it slightly and being careful not to lose the point, which I think I do lose it again, like just now. So yeah, it's better to use a very sharp knife if you can, because they will be a little bit more durable, and you can take less slithers off. So you see that bunch of material right there? I won't throw it away. I put it aside because I can use it in another drawing or painting. I can either use my fingers to rub with it, or take a paper towel and you know, push it in for the color. So yeah, and then here's the Van Gogh, and I had the tiniest little piece, but I wanted to still show that you could work with a small. I like to work with smaller pieces, as opposed to a large. Like, a lot of people don't like to break their materials. They wanted to use it and make it look new, but it doesn't work well. So I like to either break them in half or in thirds, and then work with them until they're all gone, and then I go to the next third and go on from there. So with this little, I guess it's a buck knife or something, I'm just taking a little tiny bit at a time, and just very little force, very very gently. I'm taking off very tiny bits at a time. And all of that, what's left over, I will also use. I won't waste any of it because it's still material. And I'm not being cheap or anything, but I don't like to waste. I mean, they're not cheap when you're buying art materials. This is it. I need to move my knife out of the way because that could be dangerous. And of course, I get into another heart here. And then, of course, I'm like, oh, it's just not full enough. There's white space over it. So I fill it in with a little tiny bit of smudging. And then I was like, hey, grab some of these crumbs and make a little heart that one. And then I will just surround it with the point. So you get the idea. You can reuse these crumbs easily. And that's that. Next is that hyper-lapse tutorial I was telling you about. I had a leftover art piece with, it started off with just a sky. So I thought, hey, let me finish this up for this demo. I said tutorial, but it's not really a tutorial. It's more a demo and showing you getting my light blue in the distant mountains, and then shoving some nice, beautiful dark ones in front, cleaning up my sky a little bit, making my clouds a little better, scraping up with the grass. You see, using that, just scraping. I just used my nails for that, and also with the water. I also scraped a little bit in that. It's kind of hard to see because it went really fast. But I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will follow me on Instagram, and you will be able to see the next videos coming up. And have a blessed day. Bye.